Broadcasting from our studio in Ocala, Florida, I'm Brody Barcode.
I'm Ryan James.
And welcome to the Parlor, your hub for independent art and entertainment, as well as a platform to showcase independent artists and entertainers abroad. Now that's gourmet. Hanging out with us tonight in the Parlor Theater is the incredibly talented independent artist, as well as writer, director, and producer, Mr. Sean Lampron. How you doing tonight, sir?
Very great, very good. Thank you for having me here. I appreciate you bringing me on here and get to hang out with you guys and have a chat. Doing pretty good though.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, man. So what have you been up to lately?
I mean, of course, in this kind of world, you try to be careful and not, follow all the procedures and everything. So taking things a little slow. Day job keeps me busy, but my wife and I kicked off a new business this year, doing graphic design and starting to do video productions, getting some stuff lined up there, really exciting, and
Nice.
commercial video productions for corporate stuff like that. Even jump into some wedding videos and stuff to kind of keep things flowing at this time and try to build up that business a little bit. So it's kind of the current plan, and then some little film projects on the way, I think.
Yeah,
Nice.
Lampron Media is what it's called.
Lampron
correct?
Media, that's right. Yep.
Nice.
Actually, there's a sign right there over my shoulder now.
Ah,
Got it.
Yeah.
itty bitty little-
Gotta get the little advertising in there. Sorry.
Hey, it's all good, man.
So what short film? I mean, are you able to talk about the short film work or anything, or is it kind of
Yeah.
wrap?
We got I got something planned here coming up. I've been working on for a couple of years. I mean, the last thing I did was, oh geez, when did we shoot that? 2015, I
Yeah.
think. Ryan, you were there.
Yep.
And then I finished it finally a couple years ago in 2018, 2019, called Writer's Block, which is up on my YouTube channel. And since that time, I always had a plan to go forward with another one that I've been working on. And I think this year is going to be the year. A little short. I've always liked Edgar Allan Poe. I'm sure I know Ryan. I know you have Brody. Great stories. Love them. And I always like the Telltale Heart. And I just love the way it was told. It's so simple but effective. So I wanted to make something like that with a little twist on it. So I have a little short concept for that, modern day, modernized, with a little twist that, I don't want to give all that away, but really interesting. I think it'd be really fun. Just a little short, about 6 to 8 minutes long,
Oh,
and
nice.
we're gonna hopefully get that produced here this year, and it's gonna be real fun. It's gonna be called Beat. You can actually find it already listed on IMDb from my page and everything on there. So you can keep updated on that. But I think that's gonna be really cool and a really fun shoot to do this year. So that's the next plan coming up, as well as some little skits here and there. I think we're gonna try to flesh out some YouTube content with some skits, and
Nice.
just kind of see where it goes and have some fun this year.
With regards to the short film aspect, is that something that you're looking to also maybe put into like festivals or anything of that nature?
Yeah, definitely some of it. I wanted to do that before when we were working on Writer's Block. That was always a consideration of doing that at that time. I really want to do Beat, this new one, really well, and really done in a way that I think that it could be a real contender for a short film festival or a film festival with a short category. So I mean, I've invested a lot in the last year or two on new equipment, new cameras.
Yeah, you've shown me your list
You've
today.
seen some of the stuff we got coming this weekend. I got my new camera. I've been converted to 4K. I got Panasonic GH5. I got one now. I got another one coming. That's one of the things coming. I got, all kinds of fun stuff there. The jib. I know you were really excited about the jib, Ryan.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
telling me about that earlier.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
awesome, dude.
All the stuff I'm excited about. So really trying to invest in it and try to get some, like you said, some festival submissions out there and see if I can get some eyes on some stuff, and I don't care about getting popular or famous or anything like that. I got a friend that every time he hears about my filmmaking stuff, he's like, he always tries to tell people like, oh, he's got an IMDb page. Go look. He's on IMDb. He's gonna be famous. He's gonna be a famous filmmaker. I'm like, I don't care about the fame or the money. I just want people to see my stuff.
Yeah.
I just want people to see what I do. I don't care about all that. I just want get the creativity out there and get some enjoyment to people.
Well,
Nice.
with that, would you want to be hired for bigger stuff based off of what people have
Um,
seen, or do you want to just more or less work on producing stuff on your own?
See, and that's where I've kind of gone back and forth. I think it would really depend on who comes to me, and with what it is. If I'd want to get hired onto something else,
Mhm.
if it's someone I could have a good rapport with and a good working relationship with,
Right.
and a good project I could really get into, I think I would be dumb to say no if it was good paying and would be good for me. Um, but at the same time, like, I mean, if it ever got to the point like Marvel started calling me, I mean, you don't, I mean, can you say no to Marvel? Probably not. Maybe. I don't know. Ryan, you're looking like maybe you
Well, I'm getting to the point that I'm kind of burnt out on superhero
would.
stuff,
And I am too. And I am too.
but
But yeah, I mean, you
at the
feel
same
like, I
time,
mean,
it's Marvel.
exactly.
Having that on a credit where it's like,
Yeah.
well, hey, I know a guy that worked on a Marvel show. I mean, a Marvel
But
Marvel production. You might want to check him out.
yeah, I mean, there's certain things that you look at and it's like, well, it might be good for prospects, but at the
Yeah.
same time, like you said, working on your own stuff, I really feel like that's where I really would like to be in the long run. Like if I ever took off with the filmmaking and got to somewhere where it would be uh, a sustainable career path, no day job or anything like that, um, I'd want to stick to my own kind of thing as much as possible. Do my own productions or find people who want to get their stuff made. Someone that's writing something on their own that I could really get behind and help them get it produced and not just buy it from them, but bring them on board and be like, hey, come here, come help make this
Yeah.
thing.
Wi-
That's where I'm very much of a I want to be a mentor and bring other people into
And create a
crafts.
big network of
Right.
collaborators.
Yeah, and just help other people get to a stage because, and that's where I've been with, like when I do Twitch streaming because I do some Twitch streaming of game streaming, in the evenings and stuff sometimes, and one of my big things there is like I always want to help other people, like let me help you get some help over there, or even in my day job, I'm always going to help someone else and bring them up. Like that's just my personality is I want to help other people and bring them up, even if I'm not up high. I may still be higher than someone else. I can bring them with me,
Yeah.
and help them along the way. This
Give
is
them
my
a good stepping
personality.
stone.
Well, I was going
Yeah.
to ask. I mean, with that being said, and speaking of, obviously, you're working on the short film aspect. Can you see the short films that you're working on now? Could you see that as a full all out film production, like
Uh,
going from point A to point B, where then okay, I had a 10-man crew and now I have a 100-man crew to
mhm.
bringing
I
this
mean,
further
as
to
far
life.
as some individual projects, I could see expanding some stuff that we've already worked on and worked with. Some ideas that I have coming that would be featured, Ryan. Some that I've talked to you about that's still in concept phase, so I don't want to get into
Yeah,
too much of it.
right.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
there's definitely some ideas there and desires to move into doing some feature stuff, which I would hope if I can make this year and the next year kind of go well in the next year or two.
Mhm.
um, I'm hopeful that I can move into that phase of getting a full feature film done that I can get for, like we were talking about, festivals for shorts, get a good feature length festival film in, um, and maybe gain some traction with it, and take some trips to some festivals and have some fun and meet some new people along the way,
Yeah.
and see what it brings about. But
Well, and the cool
yeah.
thing too, I mean, with it being more on the short film aspect and having the tighter knit, smaller crew, I mean, from a safety
Mhm.
level, I mean, that has to work pretty smooth for you, I would say, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and I think that's like we were saying right now with everything in the last year the way it's been. Um, it's been why I've been kind of stalled. Like I bought I bought this camera just before this whole pandemic was hitting, and I'm like, oh, 2020 is gonna be the year we're gonna make a bunch of short films, and it was like, maybe not this year.
Yeah.
So but and that's why like we're working on I'm talking to some people and we're doing some short skits, we're doing some, short film small productions, so we have like 5 of us or 7 of us, and no more than that, to kind of keep that safety there, as we go. And I mean, on topic of safety, I hope that vaccines come out a little more readily available, and
Hmm.
hopefully it can start getting us all back to a little bit more normalcy, and we can see more of this stuff being produced and being done, and see it start to grow again. I know people are. I think I see people getting more interest in this kind of career path or hobby, even of making films or making shorts. I mean, like TikTok has exploded over this past year of the pandemic, and not just for TikTok videos, but I mean, people are doing really creative, entertaining skits, short film type things on TikTok, and I
The
think
only
that's
problem I
really
have with it is the vertical camera.
the vertical. You know how much that bugged me for the longest time when we started to convert to this whole like new cell phone based thing. Like the vertical video bothered me so much, but now personally I've been kind of embracing it and accepting that we're going that way. I mean, everybody's doing cell phone, they're shooting vertically, and I think, unfortunately, I think it's something we have to accept. That it's a new standard for web
Well,
media, unfortunately, and it's like you said, it's taken me a bit to adjust to it, but I'm coming around to the idea of it.
I get it to an extent. I mean, heck, even video editing software, example, Final Cut Pro, they actually have uh, a way to already get the aspect ratio for vertical video to post on Instagram
Hmm.
and TikTok and other platforms. So all you got to do is just do the setup, or you have an overlay. This way, and then you have to work harder on your cuts because of everything is vertical.
Right.
I find it a pain in the butt.
Yeah. I think that's coming from more traditional,
Yeah.
widescreen or old video formats. Like some of, I mean, how old am I? Wait a minute, what did I just say? Can we rewind that video?
Rewind the interview
But
5 minutes.
yeah, just go back a second. But coming from those formats, I think it makes it trickier for us because we're used to stuff going one way, and all the kids these days just picking up the phone and they're just going vertical, and it sticks with them. And yeah, kids these days, yeah.
Yeah. I,
Uh,
and yeah, I mean, it does lead back to some of our interviews uh, of talking about thinking outside the box.
Well,
mhm.
especially with all the changes that we've gone through
Right.
literally in the last 9, 12 months. I
Mm-hmm.
mean,
Yeah.
it's changed everything. It really has.
I mean,
I mean, there's a lot of good. I mean,
yeah,
you can find a lot of good, but it's just like,
it's a
what
different,
happened to this? What happened to that?
Hmm.
Yeah.
it's definitely a different form of entertainment. But when we think of entertainment, we think of something a little bit bigger, something that you can actually sit down and watch, but not
Hmm.
necessarily have to go. Or I
Yeah.
want to see more of the setting. I want to see more of this. And we feel
Right.
like we're just cranked in a itty bitty little living space.
Yeah. A little bitty living space. That's right. But I, I got to appreciate that at least the interest is there,
Yeah.
and people are finding their way into creating more. I mean, it's kind of like what happened. What was it 15 years ago when YouTube came around?
Mm.
You know, people started getting into video production at that point when you could easily plug your camera into the computer and start making videos and put them online on YouTube. I remember back in the early days of short films or films online. Do you guys remember the website iFilm? I don't know if you guys remember that or
I
not. It
think
was
so.
It sounds
it was a
familiar.
very it wasn't just you could post anything on there. You had to actually submit your short or your feature film to them, and they had to kind of curate it, and they would decide if it was good enough to be on there or not. And that was one of the only ways to really get your stuff seen if you were independent on the internet back in those days. And I found a lot of awesome independent filmmakers. And I don't know what happened to them now, but they probably moved on to bigger, better things. But
That's all we can
that
hope
was
for.
that was the way it was. Was that?
That's all we can hope for at that
I
point.
hope for him at least. But that was the way then. And then YouTube, like I said, I mean, and all the other video sharing sites completely changed it. And
Oh yeah.
I think it's kind of more what's going on now, when more people are sitting at home and these new short formats, and it's kind of like when Vine was around before that went away.
Mm-hmm.
It got more interest, and I think that's good. I think it does oversaturate, the market a
Yeah.
little bit for video content to be consumed, but
I was gonna say, because it really opens a floodgate for so
yeah.
much content. Oh
Hmm.
God. Yeah.
With the oversaturation, it does make it a little bit. I mean, once again, you're a little fish in a big pond,
Yeah.
and it's still. I mean, a majority of the stuff is still word of mouth.
Hmm.
And if you've found somebody that's put out a video or two that you really like, of course you're going to try and subscribe to them, or at least seeing how many videos are worth watching of theirs. If a majority of their stuff, they've got a couple gems here and there, you're not going to really do it, and you'll just look them up every so often.
Right.
But we also live in a 15-minute mentality
Hmm.
because our society is continually go, 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 go.
Yeah.
Right.
And I was gonna say, I mean, I think that's what's kind of cool about you talking about the short film aspect, because everything it's just so, you know, I
Yeah.
think, keeping these kids or these people out there, just keeping their attention span, like, okay, I got them locked in for at least this 5 to 10 minutes. Cool. That was my entire film. Good.
Hmm.
Which is,
Rather
Yeah.
than, oh, they got a quarter of the way in and
well, I mean, that's something
fizzed
that
out.
we're wanting to evolve doing it with our sketch episodes too, is eventually getting to a 3 or 5 minute mark.
Yeah.
Right.
Uh, Otherwise,
And I think
our
that's the key, is being around that time frame.
Yeah.
I think that's really 5 minutes, probably no more than 10 minutes for that kind of,
Yeah.
quick consumption. And I think that's the key. And I think the key with it is, I've seen what you guys have been doing with those shorts like that, or sketch episodes as you're calling out. Like, I think what you're doing is good. And I think you have a great consistency to them and how
Yeah.
you're doing it. And I think that's the big thing, is being consistent.
Yeah.
And I think that's how you get seen in this kind of oversaturated market now, is you got to have the consistency and just keep putting your content out there and keep creating, because
Right.
the more people will see you and the more that you get hit, the more that they'll come back to you. If you only put out a couple of things, you
Yeah.
might get seen once or twice, but no one's going to keep finding you. So you got to have that consistency, keep getting your content out.
Yeah.
And I think is the important thing.
Well, and that's cool you said that, because I mean it is, and Ryan and I 100% agree with you there. I mean, it's
Hmm.
you got a couple characters, and hey, we're telling those characters' story in you know little
and
bursts. Okay, get
Hmm.
up to the 5 minute mark, and you know,
yeah, I mean,
it's,
we experiment a lot, as you've seen with some of our sketch episodes. I mean, the latest Beth Walendowski was definitely our biggest reach with having an outside character involved,
Hmm.
and the punchline of it really worked out.
Hmm. Yeah.
Uh, and we're wanting to expand and test new waters, but still utilizing the same air and our unique comedy.
Right.
well, and almost kind of throw a modernized spin of what we've now been talking about for a few minutes on the aspect of, let's say, like a sitcom. You know,
Hmm.
kind of take that and let it kind of evolve into this realm that we now live in, where everything is very fast paced, go, go, go,
Yeah.
you know,
Right.
staying within a realm of, 10 minutes or less.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And sometimes it's hard, even as a filmmaker, figuring out, okay, all that's scripted is here. Oh crap, we're way over what our target mark was, or we're way under.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, well, what can we do to add to it? Is there enough B-roll in order to supplement and still tell the story?
Right.
As
Without adding too much fluff that
Exactly.
right,
drags you down too, because you
Yeah.
don't want to. I mean, that's one of the worst things. You know, you try to put too much in, and you end up you're dragging it, and it's like
Yeah.
if you don't get to your next point soon enough, you
Yeah.
get all that fluff, and you're gonna lose your viewer at that point.
Yeah.
yeah. And I mean, we've realized. I mean, continually watching our analytics, the viewers are very fickle mistresses in that aspect. We want to tell our stories. We're wanting to have some fun, and hopefully, we entertain these viewers. I mean, I know at some point you feel the same way about your content. You're wanting to tell a story and entertain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
And you're wanting to do everything the best that you can, even though if you go back behind it, it's like, I'm not really happy with it. I was happy with it for the time, but
Mhm.
what did I learn in between then and now? Which probably is the reason why a lot of movies is like people are, well, we've got new technology. Why don't we reboot this?
Right.
I mean, I haven't, I can't say I've seen many reboots that were really good.
Like,
I mean,
yeah,
I'm trying
nothing
to.
that's mind blowing above
Mm-mm.
what you started with. I don't think I got nothing.
Well,
I mean, sadly, nothing really comes to mind.
not right off
I
the
mean,
bat. I'll
like,
probably
what
find.
hits you like,
I'll probably figure out something later, but
Yeah.
as of right now, it's like
I got nothing off the top of my head that's
Yeah,
there's not one that sticks. It's like, oh, this one was the
Yeah.
one. It's not
yeah,
there.
and I mean, I understand that things are a lot more difficult with a lot of the societal imbalances of having to be very PC
Hmm.
or um, trying not to offend people. I mean, as much as we would love it, we would love Mel Brooks to put out another movie. I mean, I know I would,
I would absolutely agree with you.
but now he's in a world that he really can't, because I mean the best thing about Mel Brooks is the fact that everybody was a target equally.
Yeah, it was an equal opportunity offense type of thing. Like we're gonna make fun of everybody.
Yeah, and that was fine,
Yeah.
and it was very well accepted that that's this guy's particular style of comedy, and it
Hmm.
worked out so well.
but
But
put something out like that now, and then next thing you know, the whole Twitter universe just,
I mean, you you can't show Blazing Saddles
Hmm.
because I mean, if it were to be on TV, it would be maybe 5 minutes of the entire film. If
Yeah.
you're lucky,
You
may
lose
get
a
the
lot of
art
them.
scene. That's about it.
Yeah.
I think I saw something online where it was talking about the I think Blazing Saddles will air tonight. It has been edited for content. It will be running from like 8 p.m. to 8:07.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Or something like that. I was laughing, but then at the same time I was like, that's so sad.
that's very
Damn it, man, that is so
Yeah.
sad because it was such an
Actually, the
iconic-
only one that could go out there and be show the majority of the movie would be Spaceballs
Hmm.
for the most part.
And even then, I think, depending on someone's mood, there it might hit the wrong way for some people too. Because
Yeah,
it's-
but
and it's a shame.
it is a shame, and I think I don't know. Some people don't see what they're getting offended about in some of these situations. Not certainly not all, because there's certainly some that I certainly understand, but in some of them that they're not seeing that what they're offended by is what they're trying to show you. You know, hey, this is the issue. We're
Mhm.
trying to show you that. We're
Yeah.
not trying to offend you more. We're trying to bring to light, what you're being offended by. We're trying to bring attention to it, and
Right.
people aren't seeing the.
Mm.
I don't know what the word is. I'm searching for there, but the
Well,
ironic nature of how
we
they're
all
being
kind of
offended
just,
by what they're, being presented of. Hey, this is an
yeah.
issue. You should look at this. You know.
Do you think that affects on how you write today for your short films or your projects that you want to do?
Um, I think it has impacted my thought process as I've been going forward.
Like as you're writing in the back of your mind, you
Yeah,
feel like you're
like
walking on an icy tightrope.
I try to
It's
like
like,
Ryan. We have a plan for what is that next week
Yeah.
that we're supposed to shoot,
Yeah.
and
25th.
you've seen what I've written and what the idea is, and it was in my mind as I'm going through this idea. I'm like, oh gosh, I mean, I got to make sure I don't do this in a way that I'm going to offend someone, because I could see how it could be a touchy subject that it might bring about that. But at the same time, I'm trying to play on people's emotions of how they're going to get this opinion in their head, and it might make them look at themselves and realize their own maybe prejudices or thoughts, and they might feel bad about themselves, whereas there's nothing really in my content I've written that is the offensive part, but
Mm-mm.
maybe just the ideas that people might you know bring about in their own mind from their own ideas.
I
So
mean, it
I try to make
comes
sure I'm
with,
careful with it, but
yeah, I mean, it comes, there are several topics that are tackled in it, but the main scope of it is relationships and potential infidelity and making light of some of that, but it's a matter of the actors playing it in a way to where it's a comedic light to where you
mhm.
kind of look past some of that and realize it's just a relationship.
Right, which is exactly the point. It's life. It's just how
Yeah.
life is. It's just what everybody goes through in a comedic way, which we all could experience, no matter
Yeah.
who it is in that place, whether it be a man or a woman or whatever it may be. But it does make you think as you're doing it, and like you said, as we're writing that, like I want to, be careful. I remember actually telling my wife as I was doing this, and I told her the idea, and she's like, "Oh, that's funny. Yes, you need to do that." And I'm like, I'm just worried about doing it in a way that I might offend, but at the same time, I do want to bring that to light. I want to make people realize as they see it, like, oh, maybe I shouldn't think the way I might be thinking about this, because I want to, I want to be entertaining, but I want to
Right.
make people think about what, you know, I want to bring about emotions. I mean, that's what it's all about, not just making people laugh, but making people feel all different emotions. And I think that's kind of a key to making films is you want to bring all the emotions into it,
Mm-hmm.
whether it be a 2 minute little short skit or an hour and a half or 2 hour long movie. You want to get that mix in there. At least I do when,
Yeah. Oh,
I'm
yeah.
doing something.
And how many, even though, you're getting comments from your wife, how many times did you have to revise some of that before you sent out that script?
Um, it had
Because of
gone
those
through,
worries.
right. I mean, I would say it had gone through overall 3 to 5 iterations of different story points. Um, and I think I did tweak like once when I was like, maybe this would be construed wrong. Let's change that up a little bit just
Mhm.
to uh, make sure I'm not doing it in the wrong way. And I kind of looked at her and I was like, is this good? And she's like, is this a better way to go about this? And she's like, yeah, that's maybe a little bit better. Um, but I just like, I want to be mindful of people. I don't want, my goal is never to offend anyone. Um, but I don't think it really greatly influenced, what I was trying to tell either.
Right.
And that if anything, if I did change on one of those points, it was just because maybe I was poor in my writing, because I think it definitely has come out better with the points that I have hit, um, along the way and the way it goes now. So I think, to the whole point, it's definitely, I try to be more mindful in the PC world that we have, and making sure that, I'm thinking, because I mean, the way things have changed, it's definitely made me reflect on the way I think and the way I act. I'm not going to say I was a horrible person, because I don't think I ever was. I hope,
No.
but
Known you for how long? And it's like,
yeah,
no.
no. But,
You've always been mindful and trying your best to try new things and still make entertaining content.
Yeah, I definitely trying new things. That you have had a good hand in that. I mean, you got me in a corset and underwear on a stage in front of how many people?
That is true.
How many times? 4 times? Plus all the
Something like that, yeah.
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 I mean, it was a good time. I mean, that was
Oh yeah.
that whole year. I mean, that was the year I got married too. So
Yep.
yeah. In fact,
Yeah.
we did time warp at the wedding.
Oh yeah. I had to at my you were there.
Yeah.
I
yeah,
did.
Yeah.
But did you guys have to head out beforehand?
No, we were there for that. I think we were about to head out for that.
Oh, and then it came
you
on.
had said that, and that you were going to do that or whatever, and me and Allie looked at each other and were like, okay, turn around, we're going back, we're not leaving yet.
Yeah.
Because we couldn't miss that.
I mean, heck, even my parents joined in on the time warp. It was sweet.
Oh yeah,
It was awesome.
it was a good time.
Yeah, it was. I had I'm trying to formulate my question. Still not coming to me as well as I would like. You have something?
Oh,
All of a
I
sudden,
always
just
have
like,
something.
boom.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes when people think of me in a corset, that happens. It's okay.
Well, yeah. I was going to ask, as I'm thinking of you and tiny shorts and a corset.
No. It was bikini underwear, fishnets, and a corset.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes.
There you go, you two.
Very, very tiny. Yeah.
Nailed it.
There's pictures.
Great
they float
smuggler.
around.
Very tight.
Yeah, grape smuggler.
Well, so as far as going into the realm of film and writing and producing, where did it all begin for you? Like, where did you realize, like, oh, this is the direction? Yeah.
I've always had an interest in movies, like from when I was a kid. I mean, of course, everybody could say, "Oh, I love movies since I was a kid," but it was always hit different for me. That like I was watching, I was always interested in how things worked, And one of the big ones that hit me early on, and a how does that work type of thing was, and a lot of people would say this, was Jurassic Park. From our generation, it was that time frame where you see that and you're like,
disagree with that.
You what?
Yeah.
It was a masterpiece for the time.
Right. And
I mean, getting to see that in the
everybody at
theater, like, I'll never forget that, because I remember that opening night, and it was, my God, dude, that was so epic.
I remember I went, I don't know
go?
how many times I went to see that movie, and it hit in such a way that it was like, how did they do that? Like, these aren't real. How did they do it? And, it always that interest was always there from that point. And then I wanted to do stuff all through my younger years and through my teens. Actually, we had an option. One of the first things I actually made that people got to see was when I was doing driver's ed. It was a requirement to get your license at an earlier age in Massachusetts, where I grew up, and so I was doing the course. We had to pay for it and everything. And one of the options was one of the final things in the classroom portion was we could do uh, like an oral presentation, or we could make a video. And I was like, "Ooh, I'm gonna make a video." So in these days, it was a VHS-C camcorder, the coaxial input card in my computer with a VCR running through and everything. So I had to run through the VCR, go into that, go into the computer, and I edited it all together. I think it was in Windows Movie Maker at the time. So I did that. Then I sent it to a movie CD, not a DVD, a movie CD,
Yep.
and then put it on a DVD to VHS player to put it back on a tape to take it into the driver's ed class.
Wow.
That was the first thing that people saw that they see. So it was all about defensive driving and, making sure, what to watch for when you're driving, stuff like that. And I still have actually I don't have the final product, unfortunately, but I have all the original raw footage of it on a VHS-C still.
And now that technology has advanced so far, you can't get that tape back into your computer as easily without buying so
But
many.
I can do it.
I
I still have a
done.
VHS-C camera. I've got my mini DV camera with FireWire hooked to VHS-C to the mini DV FireWire into the FireWire card I have to install into my computer because it doesn't come with it anymore, and I can finally get that footage back.
Yep. Now wait. Is it Sony proprietary FireWire or is it actual FireWire?
Oh no, it's FireWire.
Because I think it was like i3-800 or whatever it was for Sony.
I don't know.
I mean,
1394 FireWire,
yeah. Well, it was their version of FireWire.
but their version, they had their own. Yeah, no.
So I remember that had two-way communication with the camcorder that you can actually play back, you can record. I mean, it was the webcam type of thing at the time before you were able to capture it, because it allowed you to capture it without like really having a capture card. That back then you actually had to buy a dedicated capture card.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean that was some tech, man.
That's what I went through back when I was 16 years old trying to do this driver's ed video. It was the first thing I ever did that people saw. And so we peer graded all these projects, whether it be the oral report or the videos, right? So we watched mine, and I had all these like title cards and everything, and I had music on it. It was great, all this stuff in there. And I was like the last one to present too. So I was right at the end after everybody saw everybody else's stuff. And we peer grade. They said, "What do you think he deserves for the grade?" And everybody just instantly just A. I'm like, perfect.
They're going, damn, I wish I thought of that.
Right?
We're the closing act, man. Headliner.
So, yeah. When that happened, I mean, that I was like, because I mean, I was always kind of like this shy, kind of like reserved person, believe it or not. And I didn't know how to like, oh, do I want to let people see this? I feel self-conscious, and I don't know if I like that. So when I had that go out and I had people see that, I'm like, oh, all right, maybe I should try to do more. And life situations at the time never allowed me to really have a camera or people to do stuff with. So eventually moved down here to Florida and met my wife. We started doing some YouTube stuff, and she always knew my interest, and she was always enthusiastic about helping me find my way into being able to make some films and stuff. And turns out she was working at a place with a coworker that was like, "Hey, I'm going to make this movie soon. It's going to be a short film." And Ryan, you might know where this is going. So she was working with this guy who's going to make this short film, and she told him, "Hey, my boyfriend at the time is interested in making movies too. He'd probably love to help you out. You want me to talk to him?" And yeah. So he got me in contact, and he found out that I knew a lot about how cameras worked as a traditional, camera thing, and I had my T2i. I still have right now my Canon T2i.
That's what
So I
was
had some of
shot
that
for
experience.
writer's block.
Yeah, we used that at that point. Yeah, and he was planning at the time already to use Canons. He was renting 5D Mark IIs, two of them for this
Yeah.
short film, and when he learned that I knew about the cameras and how to use them and use Canon specifically, he's like, "Okay, you're my DP." I'm like, "All right, cool. I've never really worked on anything before, but this will be great." So,
And that's
and that,
how we all three of us met.
oh yeah, yeah,
Technically
that
four,
was it.
because Allie's not in the room, but still.
She's not in the room, but yeah, she she's probably tending the youngin right now. So,
Brody was wondering if, because we were part of something called New World Order. Did I bring that to your attention too when we were working on it
I was involved in that for one day.
for the zombie portion?
Right. And that
That's right.
was actually what caused me to break my foot for my wedding.
That's right.
And
I
I
went
greatly
off that curb.
apologize because I was directing some of those scenes where and Gene was running cinematography. Was that when you guys took off at the camera where you were like the
When we were
zombie
going off
horde
and we went off around that corner,
around the corner and you
and then
took
I stepped off and I misjudged that curb and I hit right on the edge of my foot on that curb. And my foot, and that's the thing, my foot didn't even bother me at that point. I didn't even know then that my foot had any problem. It was just like on my hands.
I remembered that's where I was like, I'm pretty sure that was Sean. Because I was asking Ryan about it because I knew we had interacted a couple times, and just curious without divulging information on that specific short film.
Well, we tried to forget about that.
Going back to the short film, was that the short film? Was that the short film where I was the party boy on the couch?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was a real treat.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not going to mention how when
I had a good time.
I mean, I remember meeting at the read through at the apartment. That's where I met Sean, Allie, and all that. But I remember the day after because I got into the film through an audition through a mutual friend from all of us. And then I started helping with locations remotely as much as possible. And then I remember when we were at the hotel where it was the party scene, and I walk in, and there is Sean in all his glory, napping on the job.
Yep. I didn't get to see much of that scene. No, I was
you're
having a nice little nap
out on the conference table.
Yeah.
And yeah. Fun time.
I kind of still wonder what it was like the next day when they went in to clean up that room.
Oh, I know it.
That stuff was left there. I just kind of wonder what the thought process was there.
Overall, during that short film, I actually can say that there was a lot of great memories out of working on that.
Yeah.
I mean, we met some wonderfully talented people throughout the course of that shoot. And it saddens me that that we have been unable to see where everybody else has been since that production. And, well, that's like what we had in conversation earlier at lunch. I mean, we didn't know what people have done or what they're still doing. And I mean, it's not because that they're out of town. Because I mean, we all hooked up on Facebook and started adding everybody and making sure we kept in contact. And a lot of people just seem to have disappeared.
Just, yeah, falling off. But
And
I mean, it was a good time though, like you said, and I mean, I think it was I I gained a lot of knowledge or
yeah,
wisdom or and how to manage things. I think that gave me a lot that I used in writer's block and how to, you
hmm,
know, manage my shoot and make it flow smoothly. So, I mean, I just look back at it that it was a good time. I learned a lot and
yeah.
it gave me a lot of good experience. I mean, that was a good that was 4 days of full shooting,
Really, it
pretty
was
much
Yeah,
every
four
night.
days. I thought it was a little bit longer than that.
Was it?
But
no,
I don't.
you
I
guys were
think that,
starting incredibly early, weren't you?
well, I
mean,
remember being on location at 5:30 in the morning
yeah.
just to make sure that we had all the equipment there in the middle of this field in
yeah.
town.
Mhm.
Hmm.
And as soon as got my shots done, I had to go into work because I
Yeah,
had to
you
be
took
there at
off
8
that
a.m.
day. Yeah.
And then that night, that was the hotel room, the party scene,
Yeah.
because they
Was that
went.
that one? Oh wow, yeah. So days blur for me because
Oh yeah,
I was one of the I was like one of the few that was there first thing in the morning to like the last thing at night. I was there for the whole thing,
yeah.
and it was exhausting because I
I
took
remember it was a real chilly Seattle Sleepy Hollow kind of day
It
too.
was,
Yeah.
yeah.
oh yeah yeah
Yeah.
Well, what do we all feel that we learned from that? I mean,
I mean
you said management.
yeah I mean I learned like 100% like how to manage the flow of my shoot like everybody in there, like there was so many good people that were so professional that knew what they were doing so well. So a lot of times I just sat back and I observed and just absorbed everything that they were doing, and I'm like, oh, this is good. I'm gonna
And they were
remember, you
all
know.
very open to giving information
It
and
was such a
help.
good collaborative experience.
Yes.
Like everybody, if you had something to say, you spoke up and you contributed, and yeah, I mean that
You
was
felt like
great.
you're a big part. You know, you even if it was the most minute thing of grabbing a spray bottle to tone something down with some water, you felt like you were a part of something bigger.
Hmm.
And nobody really ever felt left out. Everybody hung out. What do you feel? What do you
Well,
think you
I
learned
mean,
from it?
through our mutual friend there,
Yeah.
for how I came into that picture, and granted, I mean, it was my scene was maybe a minute,
Yeah.
2 minutes, if that. But for me, it was I was working on sharpening tools, if you will, to better myself and just being a cool method kind of actor, like really just give you everything possible and just make it as convincing as possible.
Yeah.
And so for me, that was a great experience. It was, yeah, it was batshit off the wall, but it was still a really fun, incredible experience. And also too for me, because I was coming into the picture doing acting and like I said, kind of bringing that method concept to the table. But I was also doing a lot with music, and this was right before that bridge came about for me to get further behind the camera
Hmm.
and start writing and start directing. So, like I said, it was a great time.
Yeah.
Like I said, I nothing negative to say. Like I said,
Yeah.
it was a really good
Hmm.
experience.
I mean, it felt like we were on a real, I guess you could say, almost a studio quality production.
Hmm.
The director gave us a lot of great confidence. He hired local as local as he could get makeup artists. I mean, there was, for the most part, well managed money involved
Hmm.
to make it feel like you were part of something, and it felt really good.
Hmm.
And
Um,
for me, meeting with him and talking everything through to get the shots, you knew that he knew what he wanted, and
Yeah.
it was going,
Yeah, oh, yeah.
you know, and that was what was going to be captured on film.
Absolutely.
There
You
was a
know, and I
vision
thought, you
here,
know,
and he wanted that vision, but he was open to whatever you got to say. Like,
right.
put it out there.
Talk
Let's
about it.
think about it. Yeah, let's
Yeah.
let's
Yeah.
collaborate.
Yeah.
So,
There was a very good level of communication.
I mean, if you had your own dream crew, how would you want it to feel, you know, with working with everybody, or do you want it a tight ship, or how would you, you know, would want to put something together?
I mean, I think that's part of what I learned there is like that feeling that we had there. I think every time I've gotten together with someone to make something sense, no matter how big or small, I try to in some way recreate that feeling because I know it worked so well. So I always try to just bring that about because I think that was so good, and that's why you said it's kind of it's sad in a way that we don't get to see more of what's happened there and with some of the people. Um, but it just I try to bring about some of that feeling to everything I do because that kind of just like having someone that leads and knows what they want, which is what I try to do when I'm in the lead of what I'm doing
Mm-hmm.
or helping make sure that whoever is doing it, they have their vision, make sure they're all set, but then making sure everybody knows, like, speak up if you have something to contribute, please, like, let's build this together because we're all a part of this. It's not just one person's thing here.
And everybody was civil. Nobody was being an ass about it.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
no.
if
Yeah.
they had a thing, I mean, you know, had an issue somewhere, nobody was being butthurt. And if it got to a point to where the director was like, no, everybody knew their role and knew how to back off,
Mm-hmm.
which to me, I find on the professional level instead of, I mean, unless even the most passionate person on things in disagreement was like, all right. I mean, instead of trying to supersede and overstep to become the top dog. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you're brought into this project. Yes, I'm going to take some of what you have to say into consideration, but understand that essentially what I say is what goes. This is my
Right.
vision. If I can see where you're coming from, there might be a way that we can make it work. But
Mm-hmm.
otherwise, I mean, being a director, you kind of have to have that vision I mean, I've only directed a few things, and I guess I have to be that enthusiastic, or I like the collaboration too much that, okay, if I'm
Right.
directing, all right, this is what has been set in stone. I'm still open. All right, how do you guys feel about this? I feel a little off about that. All right, well, do it again. Let me see what we can do. And I'm up there with them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm walking behind them. I'm stalking them, so to speak, to make sure I see what they're seeing from their perspective. Because I mean, how else, me personally, how else am I going to know without being in their shoes?
Right.
I mean, I've directed a play where this one of the actors was not getting there, and this kid's taller than me and younger than me, and since the one actor was not there that he needed to play off of wasn't there, it's like, okay, I just need somebody to read the lines. This is what I want you to do. I'm him.
Mm.
And he looks at me and he's like, I don't know if I can do that. And it's like, why? Dude, you're intimidating as hell. But me? No. I'm here to help you. I like being up here to help. And I mean, I think all of us like to share our own knowledge with people that we enjoy working with. to hopefully, if they find a new avenue that they want to try, they can at least have some sort of confidence or have a confidant to be able to ask those questions,
Right.
get the bounce back.
I think that's why we mesh so well too, because we have that same type of like way that we work and the way we do things very similar. And I will attest to you can be intimidating when people don't know you at first. Because I think you were, I thought you were intimidating at first because I'm like, he's got this confidence. He knows his stuff. Like I don't know.
Fake it till you make it, buddy.
Yeah, and I learned that that's exactly what it is. But
But I do have a good sense to figure things out.
yeah,
I mean, if I don't know it, it's not necessarily fake it till you make. Well, all right, to an extent it is, but that's beside the point. I know enough to where, based off of watching other people, I'm going, that's not how I feel it should go, or I don't feel comfortable with that. But I've got enough experience, even at that time during that production, that that I'm looking at more than one thing. So I can understand where you're coming from on that, but at the same time, I guess my resting face is intimidating because I'm sitting there observing,
yeah.
trying to get a feel for the room, trying to see in how things.
Well, look at how you looked at that point too. I mean, come on. There's a reason you had the part you had.
Well, yeah. I mean, at that time, I was meant to be.
Yeah.
I mean, I played the what's the kid's name in Brick? The blonde head, Tug from Brick. I mean, that was pretty much my character in the production that we were working on. I was that character. So I'm like, okay, there's no way I'm going to be able to bulk up like that, but because well, I am bulking up just a little bit more out.
As we all are. Some of us are a little balder.
Or balding.
Yeah. Like I said, I gave up my fight. I accept my destiny.
But I mean, I knew what I was meant to do. I mean, you look at me, I've got the face of a villain. I mean, even with our Bill Overs interview, I mean, he's like, yeah, I could see it. And that's okay. Look at me.
Yeah.
And that's what he said about himself. And we just laughed. We had a good time.
Yeah. I mean, and some people are just made for that, and you can make a real good career out of it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we touched upon that same thing with Erica whenever about Loverboy and Mr. White. I mean, I played two different characters in those movies. I was, the party host, and I was just a guy in a button-down shirt, just being like the rich dad type of thing. And then the other one, I was a drunken wife beater that looked like I was about to murder everybody in sight. And half the time she gets asked the question, is like, how nasty was he on set? Oh, he's the most. He's like a freaking teddy bear.
Yeah.
And he's just cool as hell. And I'm confident in the places that I'm at because I know I can contribute something. And being in a room, I mean, the air of that room during the read through was kind of intimidating for me too, but at the same time, it felt good being chosen to be amongst other people that felt just as good and confident about what we were doing. And it feels gratifying to be a part of something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, like even with Writer's Block, we had a blast.
Oh, yeah.
And it was only 4 actors,
Yeah.
primary actors. I mean, even though I
Mhm.
had only one scene
Right.
and Jason had only one scene, the other two,
Which wasn't even really planned.
no, it actually
That was a
worked
last
out
minute
really
thing.
well. Because I know you had talked about it and it got thrown in there, and then I finally got to watch it, and I'm like, wow, that turned out really nice.
Hmm.
And it really added another dynamic to the story that we didn't think about when you and I had actually talked about it originally. And then getting to see it in its entirety,
Hmm.
it was very, very nice.
Yeah.
It added to it because I know we all, we want to put a bunch of things in and stuff like that, and then we have to second guess ourselves.
Hmm.
Is it going to take it away based on what we said earlier? I mean,
Right.
we have to work with attention spans,
Hmm.
including our own.
Yeah. I think that's why it took me 3 years to finish that thing.
But you're also meticulous, and I
I
mean,
am
not
meticulous.
not necessarily a negative light. You want to do the best you can
Hmm.
with what you've got at the time.
Right. And I think one of the things I learned from that one was um, uh, I learned to stick to my gut more about how to shoot something
Mhm.
because in the moment, I had the idea of how I wanted to do something. And then in the moment, we had everybody, pitch ideas and, oh, what about this? What about this? What about this? And I went ahead and I decided to go ahead and take, one of the suggestions to shoot something earlier and do it this way instead, which is on me, not on the person that suggested it. I said, okay, let's do that.
Yeah,
Um, but I feel like I should have stuck to what my gut was initially and done it the way I wanted to do it. And I think that took me longer to edit it too, because then I just couldn't, like, the vision wasn't there anymore, right?
you
Because
became
as we talked about, you
conflicted.
have this vision that you want and you want it the way it is, but then when you change that and you don't stick to it, it just, over that time, I couldn't visualize it in that way until I sat down and just played with the edit for way too long. But until I finally got that vision back from what I had. So that is my big takeaway from doing that one, is to stick to my gut and stick to my vision and get what I know I want. And if we still want to try something else, always, I mean, we don't shoot film, we shoot digital. We got plenty of space, plenty of
Right.
hard drives.
And it's
We'll do it.
always,
We'll do it much different ways.
do you feel that it's a bigger benefit with the technology that we have a little bit more easy,
We're
easily
spoiled.
available uh, access to in one form or fashion? Uh, do you feel that it's a benefit to try more things and rather have more footage than not?
Yeah, I would always rather have more. If it's me, I would rather have more. I don't care if it takes me longer to sift through. I mean, hopefully you take good production notes when you're doing it, so you know what's what.
Yeah.
But and that's something I want to be better on in the future going forwards, because I wasn't the most organized then. But that's why I started to edit that same day too, so I could make sure I had stuff organized.
Right.
But yeah, I just organize and just shoot, just shoot and shoot and shoot. I mean, I make sure I've got batteries, I make sure I've got power cords, I've got, memory cards,
Oh yeah.
I got a laptop to offload video onto if I need to fill a card. I would rather have way more than end up missing something than be like, oh, we got to go back and shoot something again. Because
Yeah.
I mean, when we did that, I mean, we had what, I took days off of work, I know some other people did.
Yeah.
Two of the actresses drove in from, an hour and a half, 2 hours away.
Yeah.
Trying to organize that to do a reshoot isn't always the easiest thing. So
Mm-mm.
definitely overshoot. I mean, I would just gladly overshoot and take the time and get more than have less.
What do you think some of the benefits are in with as technology being more advanced for productions of independent film or independent shorts and stuff like that.
Mhm. I mean, as far as the technology goes, I mean, what do you have in your pocket now? And I mean, you talk about it all the time. You have your phone. I mean,
Yeah.
how good is that you can just you can realistically take your phone out to get a shot and mix that with something from a much more expensive camera, and you
Mhm.
can make it look right. You can make it match if you need to in a pinch. I think that the ability to, or even the cameras that I have. I mean, if you told me 10 years ago that I could have the cameras I have these days, I'd be like, you're kidding. You're crazy. There's no way. I'll never have something like that. I can't afford it. But I mean, the technology has changed so much that it's just super affordable, super easy,
Easy, accessible.
and
Yeah.
so easily accessible. And I, I think it's like we said, it's a benefit to people to be able to get the interest and get into it. You get that oversaturation, like we talked about, but I mean, just the way that you can just do so much now with so little, whether it just be a phone or, I mean, you can get a phone, everybody has one, and you can go get a $20-$30 mic accessory that you can plug into it to
Yep.
even get better audio, and you got your whole set right there. I
Yeah.
mean, cheap lights. I mean, we've long, preached about the can lights from Walmart or Home Depot, and
Yep.
like, it's so easy, it's so cheap, and then everything just making it so much more convenient with
I think
digital
it's
media and what we
exhilarating.
have.
Well, and the fact that it's
It's
digital, you can, like you just said a moment ago, you if you need 30 shots of that scene, go for it. You can
Yeah,
get it.
Yeah.
You're
yeah,
not going to
just
run out of
just take
film.
it. Hmm. Like so many times, we'd sit there and say, "Do you think we should take this shot and get a shot of this?" I'm like, "Yeah."
Might as
Or
well.
or I would say, "Do you?" I still
Yeah.
find myself saying, "Do you think we should do that?" And then we all just look at each other like, "Of course we should." Like, we're standing here, we're asking, we can just do it. It's
Yep.
take the shot, get it done. Take what you want.
Yeah. And it, it's nice that some of the equipment out there as well is becoming more affordable instead of us having to sit down and make a lot of it. Now, some of it, don't get us wrong, still need to be made,
Hmm.
and people may laugh at that, but if that shot comes out right and people's like, oh,
Hey, if
it's
if
like,
anybody
yeah.
laughs at making something that's looks a little sketchy for a film production, they haven't watched enough behind the scenes documentaries to
It's
see the
also
stuff
true.
that people do in Hollywood,
Oh
and you'll understand anything that anyone's done on a small film too.
yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, even music videos too. I think.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the music video, in the grand scheme of things, is probably one of the easier things to shoot. It's a matter of figuring out how creative you want to be
Hmm.
with it. I mean, you could put yourself in a box and still come up with something really fantastic because, okay, well, I'm constrained by these angles. Well, heck, that angle looks pretty cool. And sitting there, you trying so many new things, being confined, but at the same time, you're probably opening up something that's never been seen before.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Um, is there a dream project that you would want to do?
Oh. Well, there's a question I haven't had of all the times I've talked to people, and I've done my Twitch streams, and we've talked about film sometimes, and I've taken questions and stuff from people, and that's never been something I've heard. I don't know. I don't know what I would say would be like. I don't think there's anything specific. I think I would just want to have a moderate budget, get everybody that creatively I like to work with, the people I'm looking at now, the people that I've looked at and worked with in the past, and just have that collaborative effort to make whatever we can make that gets everyone together. That's what I would want, is that experience. Whatever it would be, whatever it would come out to be, That would be my project. Just have a moderate feature length budget, and have everybody there to collaborate and just make something that we can all be passionate about, whatever it may be. So, no story, nothing specific I want, just that experience.
So behind the scenes, the movie.
I mean, something.
Yeah, look at how janky this is. But yeah, the behind the scenes shot's amazing. The look on your face was like, huh. Huh. It's enough that you start thinking about it.
Yeah.
Because we watch documentaries behind the scenes stuff. Some of it just blows our mind on some of the creative ideas that come in with these shots.
Yeah.
And then some of it we look at like, that looked a little sketchy there. But at the same time, we see that we and thing is, I've noticed that some of those sketchy shots, they'll show that, and then eventually the real shot gets split screened in, and you're like, man, that's still sketchy, but man, that shot was fantastic. So you kind of they diffuse the idea of the cringeworthy jankiness of what was going on behind the scenes. It's like, I still gotta admire that.
Yeah.
I can't help it. It's so pretty.
I'm with you there, 100%. That's the thought process.
Yeah.
Well, I was just going to ask, because then I apologize, Sean. We're just about out of time here.
Yeah.
What kind of advice would you give to the up and coming kids,
Or
and
that would
those-
be interested in.
Yeah, going into this field, going into this realm, especially now this new world that we're living in.
Yeah.
Like what would you say to them?
I think the one thing that I would always say, that I always do say when I come across anyone that's, whether they're trying to do this or whatever it is that they're trying to do, if they have that interest, you just do it. I don't care if you think it's going to be good. I don't care if you think it's going to be bad, because it's going to be bad. When you first start it, it's going to be bad. And you just need to do it and get the experience, and don't try to do good, just try to learn. And every time you do it, learn. And as long as you learn, you're getting better. And you've won something out of that experience. So just do, create, and learn. And
Which I can definitely
you're gonna get
attest to. I can definitely say all three of us have just been on that track. Absolutely.
I wish I could have been on that track sooner, and more consistently, but
Say that same thing.
But
hindsight
then again,
2020.
I mean, look at what we now know, and look how sharp those tools are that we have living in this world that we live in, to be able to do what it is that we're doing. I guess it all kind of had its weird rhyme and reason to it. So that I gotta say, we're pretty blessed.
Yeah. I mean, it is a blessing having worked with such beautifully passionate people that we can learn from. Yeah. And having that opportunity to, even though it may be bad, or what is the positive experiences that you've gained from it? I mean, that's not this, whatever it is, that may not be the production style that I would want to go for, but working with great collaborators that can throw an idea out there and say, hey, yeah, I mean, if you use that idea, you're welcome. And being very giving without having to feel like, oh, if it weren't for me, the blah, blah, blah. No. Taking and giving somebody that little tidbit of knowledge in order to help them learn or step up their game. It's like giving underlying encouragement,
Mm,
or at least that's how I feel about it.
right.
Well, and I think it's really fantastic that, I mean, Sean, I know we haven't caught up in, Jesus, what, almost 7 years.
Yeah.
But the
It's been a while.
fact that, here we are now, and during that time, even, prior to the realm of COVID, we didn't give up. We were still
Mm-hmm.
working on our craft. And even and now, even with everything the way it is, finding light into that of what we're doing, that's really cool in my book.
Yeah.
That we've never stopped.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Never
keep
stop.
pushing.
And we've God knows we've fallen on our asses
Yeah.
more than many times, but we were able to dust ourselves off and learn from it. And okay,
Never stopped learning.
let's
and
keep stepping it up.
Not afraid
That's
to try something
Yeah.
new.
Yeah. Not afraid to be laughed out of the room.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh yeah, yeah.
that's how Ryan and I literally started our first production,
That
it
we're
was
still
like-
working on.
But
We'll
I
get
mean,
there.
yeah.
And that's okay. That's really okay.
Yeah.
That's it.
Anything else for our viewers, sir?
The only thing I would say is that I guess I would echo my advice. Just get out there, do what you're trying to do, make it happen. And in this world, like, be safe, work with your crew though, keep it safe, keep it consistent, keep it going, push your way through. You'll get where you want to get. If
Find
this
your
is the goal.
niche.
That's it. Find your niche.
Well, Sean, man, I really appreciate you coming and hanging out with us in the Parlor Theater tonight, man. This has been
Been great.
most fantastic. I know you and Ryan are working on a couple ventures and projects.
Yeah.
I really look forward to being able to catch up with you, man, and hang out and hopefully
Oh, yeah.
get involved in another new project. So
We'll definitely have to do that.
this
Get
will be
together,
great.
hook up, do some stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man.
All right.
Absolutely.
So thank you everybody for joining us in the Parlor Theater. I'm Ryan. This is Brody. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. It's over here, where Sean is underneath him. Not here. Yes, I'm bringing that joke back for that one time. Yeah. All of our interviews are going to be in podcast form on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, and a lot more. So hit that subscribe button. Check out our podcast if you don't have time to watch our videos. Show some support for all local and independent filmmakers. Have a happy one, everybody.